Day to you, professional wrestling fans. I am Gary YouTube from Cultaholic Wrestling, joined by a brand spanking shiny, literally shiny. Look at the gleam on that scalp. It's fantastic. A brand new shiny Gary YouTube to the mix here. It's Andrew. How are you doing, Gary?
I'm doing good, thank you, Gary. How are you doing this fine Gary day, Gary?
I am fine, Gary. Do you know the ways of the Gary YouTube?
Yeah, pretty familiar with the Gary.
There's not much to it, really. You're just doing any old bollocks that all the other Gary YouTubes do, and that is what Gary YouTubing is, which tier lists does fall under. We are here, of course, to do a tier list ranking malarkey shenanigans thing. This time, doing all of the Elimination Chambers winners. Andrew, nearly called you Adam there. False of habit, I know. But I do believe you've watched every single one of these matches back to back to back to back to back. We locked you in a room, tied you to a chair, pinned your eyes open with cocktail sticks, and didn't let you leave until you watched them all. How did you find it?
Yeah, it was, there's some goodies, there's some baddies, and there's some all right, but I'm sure we'll get into that, sir.
We will do. Sam, hit the intro, please, Bonnie lad. So just in case you haven't been here before, first and foremost, what the hell's taking you so long? We've been doing these for bare time, fam. That's what the Gary YouTubers speak like, bare time, fam. We have several tiers to put these Elimination Chambers winners into, ranging from, the best to lovely, all right, just about bearable, and get in the bin. I have to read them every time. I can't remember them. After all this time, it's terrible on the part of my memory. But we're going all the way back, Andrew, to the first ever Elimination Chamber match, Survivor Series 2002. Raw's World Heavyweight Championship, of course, was won by Shawn Michaels with his poo brown tights, his black knee pads, his cowboy bootingtons, his weird little haircut, the confetti. One hell of a moment. I love that Elimination Chamber match. You know, it does have a few moments where you're thinking, you're thinking about Triple H's larynx, like literally getting squashed by Rob Van Dam. Other mishaps, but for a first match, on a night where famously everyone turned up to the arena having never seen the chamber in person before, not liking what they were saying from a wrestler's perspective because it was just so hard and so brutal. I thought it was great, the match itself.
Yeah, I loved it. That was one of the first ever DVDs I ever got of wrestling. And that match was unbelievable, like nothing you'd ever seen before. And like you said, the way that they managed to make everything work, even though they hadn't seen the chamber before, was amazing. And then you hear about all the stories like, oh well, you know, it was actual. Nothing was sort of looked over beforehand. So when they get slammed into the chain links and stuff, that gives them big old hurties, Ross. That
big old hurties. I think it was Jericho I heard saying that it was clearly built by a man who didn't know wrestling. A guy who thought, oh, that'll look cool. Because Triple H's idea, famously, Eric Bischoff introduces it on Raw, and then non-wrestling people build it, and the wrestlers aren't very happy because it does hurty, lotty. But the match itself, obviously, the story of Shawn Michaels' win was the 4 years off he had because of his back injury. Comes back at SummerSlam, gets murdered by Triple H not once but twice, through a car window once, and then with a sledgehammer just after the match had finished for the second time. We go into Elimination Chamber. Shawn Michaels rolls back the years, upsets the odds, topples Triple H. Apparently they didn't have a finish worked out before they went into the ring. All of that was just called in the ring, which I find amazing. Aren't wrestlers very good at the old ad-libbing? After the Elimination Chamber match, Shawn Michaels didn't do too much with his world title reign. He had a match a month later, where he lost the championship to Triple H in a 3 stages of hell match because, of course, back then, 2002, 2003, Triple H just won everything.
Doing that. He's doing all spit the water everywhere, Ross. Yeah, it was a weird one. Obviously, it's a triumphant win for Shawn, and it's nice to see all the confetti. He's having this big emotional moment and stuff, but then nothing really comes from that, does it? That's the last time we see Shawn Michaels with a proper world title, Jesus. I think, as well.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. I'm writing the notes for this one down, but yeah, I think obviously we're going to rank these on both the match itself, how the win came about, and then what they did with the win afterwards. I think the way Shawn Michaels won the match far supersedes anything he did or didn't do with the world title. So I reckon I'm going to put this one straight in the best in terms of a winner, because the moment, the story, it was delightful.
I agree. I would put it in the best as well.
Delightful. So now we go on to SummerSlam 2003. Triple H, who walked in as the World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw. He defends against Goldberg, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Randall Keith, and Kevin Nash. Any memories from this one?
I just kind of remember, obviously, Goldberg was hot going into this one. Everyone's like, he's got this in the bag as the big lad. He's got this in the bag, but then things don't really turn out that way for big Baldy Goldie, does it?
Baldy Goldie, no, because obviously this has been 2003, which meant Triple H had to win. I knew a lad when I was growing up who went to Insurrection 2003 at the Newcastle Arena here. He took a sign to that event, despite being, how old would he have been in 2003? He's a year older than me, so he would have been 12, I guess, at the push. He
11,
took a sign that read, Triple H, beat my sign. How smarky is that for a 12-year-old, eh? Amazing scenes.
Wow.
So obviously, I've sat here on this channel many times and said that Goldberg is a massive reason I'm a fan of professional wrestling. Back then, watching WWE, I was gagging for Goldberg to win that chamber match and become champion. And that's surely what was going to happen. Surely that was going to happen. But no, Triple H, flying spear from Goldberg, sledgehammer, assault, handcuffs, all kinds of kinky stuff. Other highlights in the match did come from Goldberg, where he was just dismantling everything, including Chris Jericho when he speared him through the pod door thing. Kevin Nash was on a tear as well, which is quite funny looking back on. Any more memories from you in that match?
Just that. When I think it's Goldberg that spears Jericho right through the oh my god, I think that's the most brutal the bulletproof glass has ever looked. It's never looked as good as when it like explodes in that moment. I don't think that bit was so good.
So yeah, Triple H goes on and wins after assaulting Goldberg with the sledgehammer and the handcuffs and all that malarkey. Afterwards, Unforgiven 2003, which took place a month later, World Heavyweight title versus Goldberg's career in a title may change hands by disqualification and count-out match, where Goldberg, he went and bloody did it, didn't he? He beat Triple H in 2003. Amazing again. Triple H once again lost again to Goldberg at Survivor Series again. He lost again at Raw Roulette to Goldberg once again, but then Triple H, that no good bastard, he won the title back at Armageddon in a triple threat with Kane and Goldberg, of course, because of course he did. That was Triple H, and that was 2003. We'll find this out because Triple H early on was Mr. Elimination Chamber. So we'll find out that not only did the chamber matches benefit Triple H back then, but then the feud after that, he might lose the title, but in the end, it would benefit Triple H.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. I like this one, though, because it does build heat for Triple H, and we get the eventual Goldberg win down the line, because we kind of thought, oh, it's going to happen here. This is the one. But, Swerve City Central, Ross, he comes and gets you. And I quite like that it builds that heat, but although, things just feel a bit inconsequential almost, don't they? Because he loses the belt, then he gets the belt again, and it's kind of a bit like that.
So we have Shawn Michaels, Survivor Series 2002, in the best tier, the top of the top, the cream of the crop, the whatever. Triple H, SummerSlam 2003, I would suggest to you, Gary, Andrew, is a tier below.
I would agree. Based on just building the heat and then finally getting Goldberg over down the line, I'd say go on.
Initially I was going to suggest even lower, but you've pulled me around with that building Heatington thing, because that's an old-fashioned. No, I want you to have a backbone on this video,
I have got
because
a backbone.
I saw you on that Pitches video being too polite. I know you're new round here, but get your tallywhacker out, right? Just tell me what for.
No, I won't do that now. But I've done my notes and stuff, and there are some where I feel like I'm a bit harsh, but for this one, like I said, for the Heatington, I'm growing a backbone. It's going where you said it's going.
Just tell me what for. I'm a worthless. I don't know what I'm saying here.
Stop
Andrew.
it. You're a lovely man.
Triple H once again wins at New Year's Revolution 2005, once again for Raw's World Heavyweight Championship, in a match that also involved Randall Keith, Batista, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit, and Edge, with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee. Now, this was also like in the time where we were building up to Batista turning on Triple H. Triple H was famously very vocal and wanted to hold off on that for as long as possible before finally do it, and everyone would just spunk everywhere because the spunk had been building up for so long. Eruptions would happen all around the WWE universe.
That sounds nice. That sounds nice, Ross. I quite like this one. You know, I think it's a bit weird that Triple H loses the belt and then wins it again. As we see, that seems to be a recurring thing that happens in these matches. But I like the storytelling. I like the part at the end where like Triple H is all beaten and stuff, and like Batista's raising his arm, but he's spying big Goldie in the corner of his eye, isn't he? I'm like, it's happening.
Batista, right? He looked dominant. Let's get back on track. That's throwing me for a loop. Batista looked dominant in this match, of course. He was eliminated, though, by Randy Orton. But despite being, Andrew, the younger and the fresher combatant in this matchup, Randy Orton would, of course, lose to Triple H because, of course, he did. But just because of the story and the action involved as well, I reckon this is one of the better chamber matches of all time. But Triple H again, come on, especially when Randall Keith was the fresher man in the match. We're coming off of 2004, obviously, where Randall Keith got that big title win at SummerSlam. But who benefited from that, Andrew?
Triple H.
Exactly. Should we just accept it and stop making this video such a piss and moan fest?
Yes.
Afterwards, Triple H defeats Randy Orton at the Royal Rumble of 2005 with the title on the line. He defeats Edge on Raw with the title on the line once again. But then eventually, he drops the title to Batista at WrestleMania, whatever it was in 2005, 21. Which made a proper bona fide star, if Batista wasn't already one of those, of course.
No, I guess this sort of reflects the 2003 one. There's a few that are like this because I feel like the Elimination Chamber is very good at setting up angles more than anything else. But again, like the 2003 Elimination Chamber, it builds heat on Triple H and then also like gets you excited for, it's coming. Like the Batista win at WrestleMania 21. So I do like it for that. And I mean, the match was fine. The match was fine as well. It wasn't a bad chamber by any means. What do you reckon? I'm
going to suggest we do some admin already. I'm going to suggest SummerSlam 2003 goes down into the all right tier, because I reckon this tier, this chamber match right here, might be just about the perfect sweet spot between Shawn Michaels, like Blart Fest winning the title against all the odds after the 4 years out, and SummerSlam 2003 where boo, Triple H boo.
I like that actually. That's a good idea because I think the story with Batista on his rise is better than big baldy Goldie. Yeah, do that. Go on. I'm feeling it.
On to New Year's Revolution 2006 we go once again. Raw's WWE Championship this time is on the line. We have John Cena, who is the champion, defending against the Masters of Cool, 5-star wrestling respecter, all that stuff. Carlito and Chris Masters, Shawn Michaels, Kane, and Kurt Angle. And I know what you're saying, Andrew. I know what you would have been saying back in 2005 when you were all of 3 years old, of course.
Yes.
Tell everyone how old you are, because it always surprises me.
I'm 27.
I'm
quite an old boy. Look, I've lost my hair. I'm an old man these days. I'm an old man.
Hey, but you've still got a youthful physog, as they say up here in Newcastle upon Tyne.
That's very kind of you.
No problem.
Thanks for the compliment.
It's a bit creepy, isn't it? All right, Carlito and Chris Masters. I know what you're saying. Why are they in a world title elimination chamber match? Wait, weren't you saying that, Andrew?
That's exactly what I was thinking, Ross.
But they pulled it round, didn't they? Because those two worked together seamlessly, incredibly well, advancing their way through the chamber match until one of them got a little bit greedy.
Oh, naughty. The stuff that those two did with Kane as well was awesome. Like, it was comedic, but then they also showed their chops as well of how good they actually are. And yeah, I thought that was really, really good.
Yeah, it was Carlito getting a little bit greedy. They were down to the final three, I think it was, with John Cena. You would think they would get rid of Cena, then just fight it out between the pair of them. But no, Carlito rolls up Chris Masters, and then Cena beats Carlito for the big old Winnington. But it didn't end there, did it, Andrew? Vince McMahon comes out straight away, introduces Edge, who cashes in for the first time ever the Money in the Bank contract, and the internet imploded. Unbelievable scenes.
Obviously, this was the first time this happened, so you were like, wow, this is unbelievable. And just the feeling, because at this time, obviously, Cena was invincible, or seemingly invincible anyway. You're like, God, nothing's going to keep him down. Nothing's going to keep him down. And then on this day, Russ, I saw clearly, and he comes straight down to the ring, 2 spears. And then you're done for. You're done for, Mr. Cena. Then
what was the school playground like the next day for you? Because it was the topic of conversation. How the hell can this be a thing in the wrestling? Everyone was asking themselves, what the hell is going on with Money in the Bank? Everyone's going wild.
We were just like, we were celebrating. So they used to have, like, at school they used to do, you'd run from wall to wall doing these, like, ball games, bulldogs or whatever it were called. And then everyone's just, like, spearing each other on concrete, just recreating this moment. It was really good. It was really good.
So then, we have that earth-shattering moment just after the Elimination Chamber match, but coming out of the pay-per-view itself, World Heavyweight title, tables, ladders and chairs. Edge, the champion, defeats Ric Flair. That's a fantastic thing on paper, and it was good in practice as well, despite Ric Flair he took a gnarly bump in that match, didn't he, for his advanced years at the time. End of January, though, World Heavyweight title match, John Cena defeats Edge, title change. Then Edge would go off and create some greatness with Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22, delicious in some fiery things. I keep forgetting which WrestleManias it was.
No, that's true. It was that one, yeah.
It was, yeah. I know things, me. But I reckon this one goes in the top tier just because of Edge's cash-in, surely.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, if it wasn't for that cash-in, we might not have got one of the best feuds of just in wrestling history, I think, between Edge and Cena. And we got even more incredible matches down the line of, like, their TLC match together and stuff. Like, I think this was such a surprise, and it led to great things between those two down the line that, yeah, I think it's got to go straight up there.
A special shout out for John Cena Sr., who didn't. I knew he was a big fan of professional wrestling, but he was in the wrong line of work when we were doing those skits at John Cena's house. And Edge is slapping John Cena's dad. He deserves to, but just belongs on any stage, anywhere, Broadway, whatever the big one is over here, any stage in the world. Amazing actor.
I'd like to see him and Mrs. Dad go at it at some point. TLC match, book that.
You heard it here first. But now we're going from the sublime to the, well, it's an apparent Extreme Elimination Chamber match at December 2006 with the ECW Championship on the line, which of course was won by Big Bob, who defeated the ECW champion at the time, The Big Show, Test, Rob Van Dam, Hardcore Holly, and CM Punk. In this one, I mean, the pay-per-view itself was a mess, but originally, Sabu, of course, was in this match, and they did an injury angle or whatever it did during the pay-per-view, and he was replaced by everyone's favourite hardcore wrestler, Bob Holly. So we're getting off to the races at a fantastic pace right there and then. But then we have the booking of the match itself. Apparently, famously, Paul Heyman wanted one thing, and that was to build up CM Punk in this match. Vince McMahon wanted another thing, which was Big Show looking dominant in this match. And guess who got their way? It was Vince McMahon.
Not good. What a shame, right? The things they could have done with Sabu in that match as well. Just everything was not booked well. But then, like, to Bobby Lashley, like, it's not really Bobby's fault, is it? It's not Bobby's fault. It's the booking of Vince McMahon and how he saw ECW at the time. And it's a shame because I feel like Bobby came in really hot when he first came into the WWE. And everyone was like talking about him and everything. I remember seeing him on covers at magazines, Ross, back in the day. And everyone was like, he is the next big thing. And then this kind of happened. And so when he won, I guess the ECW title still held a lot of weight to it. But I think after that pay-per-view, the stock just started going down a little bit. And it didn't mean as much as what it used to.
Yeah, I think we all went into the reboot of ECW thinking this is just going to be like the old ECW, but then quickly realised, oh no, this isn't. This is just going to be a developmental thing for Vince McMahon to introduce new talent, as he did here with Bobby Lashley. Test saved the match from being a complete disaster, though, with that elbow drop off the top of the pod. Amazing stuff from Test.
Mental. Like, that was probably the most extreme thing in that match, and it came from Test.
Are you joking? Bob Lashley swinging a table?
What, to get himself out of the potty, like...
Yeah.
Uses it to get
Just
himself
like
out
that.
of the potty. Just like that. Just
Spunky cock table dance. But afterwards, of course, Bobby Lashley beat The Big Show in a title rematch, and he went on a tear. He beat Bob Holly. He beat Rene Dupree. He beat RVD in a title match. Test in another title match. He beats everybody. Makes a few sporadic appearances on SmackDown back in the day. And then Backlash 2007 happens, which was Shane McMahon, Umonga, in the words of William Regal, and Vince McMahon defeating Bobby Lashley because, of course, Vince McMahon... became ECW champion with his do-rag and everything of that, which was a continuation of the Battle of the Billionaires stuff at WrestleMania 23.
Makes sense, that, doesn't it? Makes sense.
It had the best intentions, this Chamber win did for Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
It got off to a good start. He was taking on everybody, including some SmackDown roster members as well. But then it gave birth to Vince McMahon as the ECW heavyweight champion, which was, I guess, maybe the final nail in the coffin for many people.
Yeah. You can't really come back from that, can you? I feel like it just was Vince making a mockery of the title and ECW as a whole. It just wasn't, and for Bobby to be in that Battle of the Billionaires thing as well, you'd think that might have raised him a little bit too, being on there with the boss and then Trump as well, just two of the biggest names in all of everything ever. But then nothing really came from that. And then he got drafted to Raw and had to just like, the belt was just taken off him. So it kind of just stunted everything.
And they were trying to make him do things he simply couldn't do, and that was cut a good promo back in the day. Like, they've got it. How he's being booked now is just a really aggressive, big, scary man who can do very impressive things without saying too many words. That's exactly what he should have been doing back in 2006. But they were trying to... What happened to it? Like, I guess it's making a comeback in wrestling these days, but back then especially, and for much of the past decade as well, like just hiding any negatives, hiding any weaknesses. That went away from wrestling. We're trying to force people to do things they couldn't do to make them a complete performer, and just highlight the strengths, hide the weaknesses. What's wrong with that?
What is wrong with that? It's good now though that they've got people like obviously Paul Heyman, who talks on behalf of like Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns and stuff like that. People that might not. I mean, Roman Reigns can still cut like a really awesome promo on his own, but then just having that other person there just to stoke the fires a little bit, and get a bit of heat behind someone. Maybe that's what Lashley needed back then as well. Maybe he didn't need to be a babyface. Maybe he just could have been a mental, just insane, break everything, shoving tables through the chamber pod sort of heel monster. Yeah, but it was a shame. It was a shame because it felt like he had so much potential in that first initial run, and then the flames just got put out.
Yeah. So the match itself obviously is in the bin.
Yes.
But I'll suggest that Bobby's reign up until... It depends how much the defeat is going to affect things here to Vince McMahon, of course. Because he did do well with the title, and it did sort of make his stock a lot more beefier and a lot more girthier. He got a big WrestleMania match out of it, of course.
That's true.
So bearable, all things considered.
I'd say bearable.
Yeah, all things considered, bearable. We did make a bigger name in Bobby Lashley, let's say, back in into the early bits of 2007. Then we're going on to The Undertaker at No Way Out 2008. We had a year off in 2007, and probably rightfully so, after that ECW pay-per-view. Undertaker is in a chamber match with Batista, Finlay, MVP, The Great Khali, and Big Daddy V. MVP, The Great Khali, and Big Daddy V. Rhymes does.
I was going to do a beat then. Do you want to...
Go on then. Spit that SHIT.
You have to do it. I'll do the beat and then you do the rap.
MVP, The Great Khali, and Big Daddy V. That was completely worth it, Andrew. Completely worth it. SmackDown World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 24 was on the line here. Maybe, just maybe, the winner of the match was a little bit telegraphed beforehand because it was either going to be Batista or it was going to be The Undertaker, but you're looking at Edge being the champion back then. It was always going to be The Undertaker, wasn't it? I reckon, personally. But this match is remembered for one thing and one thing only. Well, that's a bit unfair, but one main thing. Undertaker's tombstone.
Yes, he does
over the ropes.
He does the thing over the ropes, like Batista's got him up, bouncing, and then whoop, backwards, gets him in the tombstone. done. That's such an awesome spot.
It is.
That's really cool. I
Like
like
Strictly
that.
Come Dancing in Elimination Chamber. It's fantastic stuff. MVP as well was murdered off the top of the pod by The Undertaker with a gnarly choke slam. And all things considered, this is got to be one of the better chamber matches of all time. It had the action. It had the winner as well and the storyline implications as well. I just thought it was one of the more complete chamber matches of all time.
Yeah, I agree. And then we get another amazing feud afterwards as well between Undertaker and Edge. Like
Tactical warfare I've got written down here because that's what it was between Edge and Undertaker, because Edge, he resisted everything Undertaker threw at him, vice versa as well. Undertaker had to bring out new offense with a Hell's Gate and all that malarkey, bringing the MMA, whatever whatever it's called.
That's it.
Jazz hands into his feud with Edge, and then going after that, Edge murdered Undertaker, through all of those tables off the top of the ladder. We had the Hell in a Cell match as well, didn't we? It was just the feud
So
between
good.
Undertaker and Edge back then. It was great stuff, involving Vicky Guerrero as well and all that malarkey, all those implications that she brought to the fold. So good.
So good. I think this is one of the, along with the John Cena Edge cash-in, I think this is one of the better chamber wins as well, where it actually goes on to do something substantial and something exciting. So yeah, I'm 100% all in for this. That Hell in a Cell match, and he chucks him through fruit mat at end off ladder with chokeslam. Edge had done it then. He'd gone and made a big mistake, Ross. I would just let him bottom there, just done, dead.
I don't know if it's just me, but my perception, when Edge won the title in 2006, didn't buy completely him as a proper main eventer, but this feud with The Undertaker properly solidified it. Yeah, Edge is a proper main event star, isn't he?
Yeah, oh my goodness. I think that's the thing as well. Like all these other superstars really, really helped build Edge. And Edge always they always seem to get the best out of Edge, and then Edge would always seem to get the best out of them as well. And then that would just raise the bar for the next thing that Edge would go on to do, every time, and also for the opponent as well. When they went on to someone new, you were like, well, they've got to step it up because that was on another level of good.
So there we have it. I've put it straight in the best. I think all things considered, it needs to go up there. So next up, we have Triple H winning once again, everybody. Celebrate at home. Get your beers out. Get the confetti out, because Triple H won a chamber match, this time at No Way Out 2008, which included Chris Jericho, Jeff Hardy, JBL, Shawn Michaels, and Umanga. Ooh. And what was happening here was, on the line was a WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 26.
Yes.
25.
Yes.
26.
23.
2008. 24.
10.
24. 24. JBL was using the chair I don't know what's going on with me with WrestleMania numbers these days. It's because I've got them written down all here in Roman numerals and I'm not that clever. XXIV, that's 24.
XXIV, that is 24, yeah.
24. It's 2008, it's 24.
Yep.
We'll get there eventually. I'm sorry for being so tired. JBL using the chair like an arsehole in this match is one of the highlights for me, or one of the lowlights. It's gnarly to watch going back and looking at that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Because now, obviously, we don't get much of that sort of thing anymore, do we? So JBL just going ham, as the children would say, is pretty brutal to watch back.
And then, of course, we had the story of Jeff Hardy's continued ascension up the card towards his big title win at Armageddon at the arse end of 2008. Not as good as the SmackDown Chamber match, I believe, on the same show, but it was still okay, wasn't it? But that might just be down to Triple H once again, getting a pretender to the main event seem like a proper, Jeff Hardy wasn't a proper bona fide main eventer, I don't believe, earlier on in 2008, which towards the end of the year, definitely, but he was still on the climb here, but he was squashed back down by Triple H. And you could say again, I guess, like the Daniel Bryan thing, knocking him down before eventually giving the big moment. You could say that, but it's Triple H, isn't it?
Yeah, I honestly don't think that was the case here. I don't think they had that really in mind. Like you said, Jeff wasn't ready yet, so I think it was a good idea to have someone else take that spot. Whether it should have been Triple H is another thing entirely, but no, I agree. Because then them two are going to have good matches down the line anyway, with titles and stuff on the line, so yeah.
So then, of course, Triple H would go on to WrestleMania 24, 24-24, where he would lose in a triple threat match with Randy Orton and John Cena. Backlash less than a month after WrestleMania 24, a WWE title fatal 4-way elimination match. Triple H defeats JBL, John Cena, and Randy Orton. So as I tell you, you might lose, and it all comes full circle, but it always benefits Triple H at this period of time. And then, of course, Triple H and Randy Orton would go off to have a mad rivalry between those two, where Randy Orton was not a bastard, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, that was one of the good things about that coming out of this Elimination Chamber. The match at WrestleMania was it was just like I think it was even in the mid card, right? It wasn't anywhere sort of prominent on the night, and I don't know, I just felt like the excitement for it wasn't there in that match, and things just kind of just felt like it was happening just because. But then I guess the aftermath of that, and the feud with Randy Orton and Triple H and stuff, that was pretty good. I did like that bit.
So I reckon if we're just going to put the chamber match anywhere, it's got to be sort of all right tier, I guess. But then the stuff afterwards, does it leave it there, or does it get it up a tier?
No, I think it leaves it there, especially because of the match at Mania as well that just wasn't amazing. So I'm gonna go all right.
No Way Out 2009 we go on to now. SmackDown's WWE Championship this time. And guess who bloody wins once again? Triple H defeats Edge, who was the champion going into the chamber match. Big Show, Jeff Hardy, The Undertaker, and Vladimir Kozlov. And the great thing about this is the fact that Edge, he walked into the chamber match and he was the first one out there. Shock. It was amazing. Triple H there, from there on out, I guess, was a bit of an obvious winner with Edge out of there because he was in the mix with Randall Keith, who, of course, won that year's Royal Rumble match. And I guess the main story here, apart from Edge obviously going out first and foremost, was Triple H and Undertaker, a couple of old gun swingers, as they say in the wrestling, couple of old timers, taking out the entire field before Triple H would obviously go on to win. I thought this was a really good chamber match, despite the fact that Triple H won once again.
I agree. I think it's the ending as well that makes it. Like, the slug between Undertaker and Triple H was so good. I mean, the rest of it was fine as well, but it was just that end stretch that was really good. And then that'd play out in matches down the line between them two as well, which was really cool.
So coming out of the chamber match, we have a steel cage match where Triple H defeats Cody Rhodes. A 2-on-1 handicap match. Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase Jr. They defeat Triple H once again. WrestleMania 25 rolls around. Triple H defeats Randy Orton. Backlash. Legacy defeat Batista, Shane McMahon, and Triple H. And if Triple H or any of the members of his team got disqualified, counted out, pinned, or submitted, Orton would win the title. But that didn't matter because Orton pinned Triple H. So Orton got one over in the end. Hey! Lovely stuff. Top two tiers at least for me. Where we're going?
Go on then. I'd say go the best. Go the best.
We'll get it. Oh, I've right-clicked. I'm very sorry, Sam. I've made a right mess here.
Bloody hell.
My fingers don't work.
Why?
Sausage fingers, I don't know. Because they're sausages. Then we're going on to No Way Out. Well, we're staying in No Way Out 2009, I should say, because some absolute bull buggery. It happened here in Raw's World Heavyweight Championship match, where the field initially was John Cena, who was the champion, Chris Jericho, Kane, Mike Knox, Ronald Mysterious, and one Kofi Kingston. But you might be wondering, at Elimination Chamber 2021, why was Kofi Kingston continuously looking over his shoulder as he was walking down to the ramp to the chamber match? Well, it's because back in 2009, he was doing that same ring walk, but Edge attacked him from the rear and nicked his place in the chamber match. It was fantastic shit housery.
It was so good, and it was something we hadn't seen up to this point, and we've already had a few Elimination Chamber matches. Triple H has won most of them, so they kind of feel a little bit predictable almost. But this was something new and something exciting, and I liked it so much. So much, Ross. I'm telling you, I liked it so much.
A great match as well, because obviously the shock value of that always gets things off to a flying start. And then Ronald Mysterious himself just lasted. We started the match with Jericho, I think, went all the way through until the end with Edge. They were doing things off the side of the pod with Edge. It was just a fantastic chamber match. I don't know what else to say about it. Just a great match.
No, I'm with you there. It was just a really good match.
And the winner, just the fact that he wasn't in there in the field at the start, fantastic winner as well.
It was. Go on, tell them who it was, Ross. They don't know. They don't know.
Edge, wasn't
it? It was. It was.
After that, we have a world title triple threat match where John Cena defeats Edge and the Big Show at WrestleMania with a double AA and all that malarkey. All established main eventers at that point with younger, like Kofi Kingston getting 10 minutes with Edge on a SmackDown between No Way Out and between WrestleMania, that gap between No Way Out and WrestleMania. And then he would go to feud with John Cena and Punk and Jeffrey Hardy, win the title back from Cena at Backlash in a last man standing match where, of course, the Big Show got involved and sent Cena through a light.
Yeah, I quite like that match as well. I thought that little feud was fine. I wasn't sure back in the day when I was like, oh, Big Show getting himself in the mix of this, but then I quite liked it. And then I think Edge goes on from here as well to feud with Jeff, I think too. And I think that feud's amazing. Another example of Edge just making gold with people in the feuds at this time. So I thought this was really good. If not, Ross, let me tell you where I think this one might go.
Go on, tell me, Daddy.
I'm telling you, it might be lovely, 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 Ross.
I'll go lovely, 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 just to agree with you. There we have
Have
it.
a backbone, Ross.
Do it. Just tell me to go away. If you want to tell me to go away, tell me to go away.
I don't want to because I like you.
You were too... I'm telling you now, Andrew, you were too polite in that pictures video. People are going to walk all over you.
No, everybody had good pictures, though. Everybody had good ideas.
Share a camera with that shark Matthew, he'll walk all over you.
I did, and he's fine. He were nice. You're a good lad. You're a good lad, bro, Matthew.
I know he is. John Cena this time was the next winner at Elimination Chamber 2010, which of course was the first proper Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. This time Raw's WWE Championship was on the line with Sheamus walking into the match as champion. Kofi Kingston's in there, Randy Orton's in there, Mr. DiBiase is in there, and as well Triple H is in there too, and he didn't win. Shocking horror of it all.
My goodness gracious me, Ross. Oh, miracles can happen.
And speaking of miracles, I don't know if it's not a miracle at all, Ross. What are you on about? Terrible segue. We have Vince McMahon appearing, harking back to Edge's cash in, breaking the interwebs and all that. John Cena wins. Who comes out this time with Vince McMahon? It's Batista. Shades of New Year's Revolution 2006. Batista I think he got the shot at John Cena because he attacked Bret Hart.
Yeah.
And this was in the midst of Vince McMahon versus Bret Hart.
Yes.
And building up to that WrestleMania match against Bret the Hitman Hart.
Cheap. Felt cheap. Didn't like this one.
No.
This was, I mean, it just felt like a retread of Edge's thing, but not natural. It didn't feel natural. It didn't feel exciting. Obviously, when it happens, people pop when someone comes out like after a match, like, oh my God, it's happening. But like, the aftermath of this one as well, where eventually Batista just was like, I'm off anyway, I'll see you in a bit. And then like, I wasn't a fan. I mean, the chamber match is pretty good because you've got like the legacy stuff, and then what is it? DiBiase accidentally hits Orton, and then he's like, oh what? And then he just pins him anyway. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I quite like that. But like, the ending just wasn't anything. Didn't really do anything for me. What about you?
Yeah, that was the other main thread, wasn't it? During the match was the implosion of Legacy, which would build up to WrestleMania. Surely a star-making victory for either Ted or Cody. Nah, no. Orton wins that one. Shades of Triple H from Randy Orton there. But yeah, it's not one of the best Elimination Chamber matches of all time. Obviously, the thing at the end overrides just about anything that happens during the match itself. So we'll have a look what happened afterwards. Batista would lose the title back to Cena at WrestleMania before losing an I Quit match to the same man, John Cena, at Over the Limit, and then eventually he would sit in that wheelchair on Raw and say, I'm gone, I'm quitting. And he wouldn't come back for 4 years, was it?
Yeah, 4 years, yeah.
Blue Tista and all that malarkey. Cena would eventually lose the title to Sheamus again at Fatal 4-Way 2010 after feuding with Batista a little bit more. So the aftermath wasn't really there either, was it?
I think it was Sheamus that went in as champion on this one as well. And he was like just up and coming as well. So to have Cena come in and beat Sheamus for a so feud just felt a bit naff to me.
Then you look at Sheamus back then, and he's not the performer he is today.
No, that's true.
So what do you reckon? All right, bearable.
Yeah, I'm gonna say bearable. I think
I'm going to say all right because in bearable we have ECW, and I don't think.
Okay, yeah, bump it up one then.
Yeah,
just put it in all right.
Can it be putting things alongside ECW? Right then, so then we have the other chamber match from Elimination Chamber 2010, SmackDown's World Heavyweight Championship on the line here. Chris Jericho taking on The Undertaker, who walked in as champion. CM Punk, John Morrison, Ronald Mysterious, and Ron the Truth Killings.
Cool. Yes,
Ooh.
This one was
saucy.
Saucy. It had saucy bits in it.
Sauce because of H. I was about to make an HP pun there, but I'm not going to bother.
Go on, try it again.
HPK? That doesn't really...
Yep.
HP.
That's all right.
Shawn Michaels was the source in this matchup. That's what we're getting up here because he came up from under the chamber floor, grid, cage,
That's
thing.
It.
What's the official term for that stuff?
I guess they call it... Don't they call it just the steel grid? Do they
The
just
steel
call it that?
grid. He came from under the steel grid.
Yeah.
He super kicks Undertaker right in the face, which just hands Chris Jericho the victory on a golden platter, I guess, with it being the World Heavyweight title. Yep. Building up to, Shawn Michaels having a bit of a midlife crisis back then. He couldn't get the job done in the Royal Rumble match. He cracked under the pressure, so he's come off. He just wants to fight the Undertaker and try and get the win back from WrestleMania 25 the year earlier. Of course. So then that would build up to the retirement match. Well, what we all thought was the retirement match for Shawn Michaels before he ruined that. Andrew, I know he called you Shawn there.
Shawn, whoa! Well, I mean, he's got the same hair as me now. Just Shawn. This moment alone makes this Elimination Chamber match. Like, I think just this setup is so perfect and so good. And it felt like we didn't see it coming either, really.
No.
Like, I really, really, really thought that was good. The winner... fine. Jericho didn't really do much with it anyway, like the belt afterwards, but I think it doesn't matter because all of that was just to set up the HBK and Undertaker stuff.
Yeah, as for Jericho, he would hold the title until he was cashed in on by a very excitable conscience of five-star wrestling, Mr. Jack Swagger himself, who was elevated. I guess it was elevating new talent at the time, but the way they did that was Swagger's face literally just like...
It's just not good.
Just won the world title, me. First
cool
time.
As a cucumber.
First time. I'm quite young, and maybe it's a bit before my time, but I've won the world title. That was a shame, wasn't it?
It was. It was a big shame. It just wasn't. They could have done so much better stuff, and that was just what they went with. And I don't think he was ready for it either. I don't think Swagger was ready yet. I get building new stars and stuff, but I mean, actually build them beforehand before you go. There you go.
So this is a weird one to try and put in this tier in it because we've got Jericho as the winner. He went on and didn't do too much with the title, but then we had the other angle built up for WrestleMania that gave us one hell of a moment, and that lasted for 8 years, I think. I guess just a bit more than 8 years with Shawn Michaels' retirement. So, where do you reckon? I reckon lovely.
I think for that angle alone, it's got to go in lovely.
I'll go lovely. All things considered, I think certain parts of it drag it down, other parts of it bring it up. Where are we going to now? Elimination Chamber 2011 we have now, where Edge walks in as SmackDown's World Heavyweight Champion. He takes on the Big Show, Daddy Drew McIntyre, who was a mere child back then. He wasn't a daddy at all. Kane, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
That's a nice mix there. We get little shenanigans between Wade Barrett and Drew McIntyre because they're like, oh, let's team up together. Wade goes in to try and get back in ring, and then Drew kicks the rope and it hits his nuts. It's like, oh, naughty stuff. But all in all, I think this chamber match was good. There was some really good spots. Starts with Edge and Mysterio. Ends with Edge and Mysterio.
They are the main thread
really
through
cool.
the match, aren't they? They were both baby faces at this time, but there were certainly callbacks to 2009 where Edge was an utter bastard towards Kofi Kingston. They were just great all the way through the match. The final stretch was oof.
Oh, that ending
my heart rate's up there anyway, Andrew, but it got it going, palpitations and everything through the chest.
The ending with just the spear in midair as well, where Mysterio's coming out to get Edge, and then he just goes, bow, got you. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. Because there was so many near falls in that last stretch as well, for that just to happen out of nowhere was, wow, chef's kiss there.
Chef's kiss. Then we're coming out of Elimination Chamber 2011. Edge, of course, would go on to WrestleMania 27, defeat Bertie Del Rio, but then he was forced to retire. 10 years to the day before night 2 of WrestleMania 37. So it's got to happen, hasn't it, Andrew, to bring it full circle?
It's going to happen. Is he going to pull that big Goldie out at the end of WrestleMania, Ross, you reckon?
I tell you what, let's hark back to WrestleMania 27. Let's have Christian come out in Bertie Del Rio's beating down, was it a Bentley?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Let's have him come out in that and just run down Roman Reigns. Just vehicular assault for the win in this matchup, I reckon.
That would be good. Run down Edge and then set up a feud there.
No, you can't have Edge lose. How does Edge lose?
No, but I mean, he wins the belt, but then, like, after the match, that's when Christian comes out, looks like he's going to celebrate, just runs him straight over.
I'm all for that. Christian's a much better heel, isn't he? Right, so exactly. Edge, 2011, top 2 tiers fall shower. Is it? Where we going? What do you reckon?
Because of the angle of... not even the angle, because maybe he didn't even know it, and he probably didn't even know it at the time, that was going to be, at least for a while, his last run as a world champion. I think it's got to go in lovely. I think you've got to boot that bad lad up there.
We'll get it booted up into lovely. Right then, where are we going now? Elimination Chamber 2011. Once again, this time John Cena is in a Raw, a chamber match with a Raw WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 27 on the line. Cena takes on Punk, Morrison, Sheamus, Orton, and Mr. Money in the Bank. Ron the Truth Killings. I don't know what I call him, Mr. Money in the Bank there. What did I say, Mr. Money in the Bank?
You did say Mr. Money in the Bank.
I am not with it today. Right then, so one of the most memorable moments in the match was John Morrison doing some parkour by falling in style on Sheamus, just like Buzz Lightyear.
So good. That was so good. I like it when people use just the chamber to do something different. We get that quite a bit now, but I guess back then we didn't really have much stuff. Maybe Jeff like doing a flipper or something off it and stuff, but like this was cool. John Mo's just so good. John Mo's so good. He's underrated, I think. Big, especially in WWE at least.
I didn't realize how good he was on the microphone. The second run he's had in WWE, it's just highlighted what a good actor. I know he's an actor as well.
Yeah.
Well, he had that Boom the Bounty Hunter, was it?
Yeah, and he's doing like flips off roofs and grabbing.
I've never seen that film, but obviously the acting has helped his wrestling promos tremendously. That's what I'm trying to say there. But for the bad in this match, we have the Raw Anonymous GM getting involved. Annoying stuff. We all know that much. And the new Nexus leader, Mr. CM Punk himself, getting stuck in his pod, sort of wedged in there, looking like a buffoon. Randy Orton RKO, and that's how he gets eliminated. You got this like all-conquering leader of this, leader of an all-conquering stable, made to look like a bit of a cock.
Just weird. Is this the one as well where like he gets eliminated, but then he gets put back in because he got trapped in his door, and they're like, oh no, go back, that wasn't fair.
I haven't seen this match for a while. I've just been making notes going off sources on the internet, so maybe you'll have to tell me about this. I think that
might be. So it just felt a bit weird. But yeah, again, like a fair match. Obviously, like the Jomo spots and stuff kind of make this one. The winner, fine. Again, like nothing spectacular. Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't my favorite chamber match by any means.
Yeah, so it's not. If you look at the pantheon of Elimination Chamber matchups, this one is never any like the one that people speak about in terms of one of the goats of all time. Is it? We go to the aftermath, and John Cena, who won the match, of course, took the title match at WrestleMania 27. He won the tag titles with The Miz before losing them to Heath and Justin Gabriel, who of course were part of a Nexus. Was it Nexus back then still, or was it the Core?
It might have been. I think Nexus then.
Must have been the Nexus.
Yeah.
He defeats Alex Riley in a steel cage match, which is a match I need to go back and watch. And then, of course, we get on to WrestleMania 27 and the mess that was that loss to The Miz, which also involved The Rock. All right to bearable, I'm saying here. But then again, ECW was unbearable.
Yeah, but this one, though. This one did just feel like it was setting up the Rock feud. And then you take eventually he goes on to take the belt away from Miz as well, and that felt unfair to Miz because he never really got a chance to shine in that first WWE title reign. So for that, I mean, but then again, because like we lead up to Money in the Bank and stuff as well from this, and that's just a phenomenal match. But I'm gonna put that in bearable.
He's
Ross.
gone bearable. Same level.
Shove him in there.
It's December to Dismember. As I live and breathe, I never thought I'd see the day. Then we go on to Elimination Chamber 2012. The WWE Championship is on the line. The champion, CM Punk, taking on Chris Jericho, Mr. Zigglypuff, Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston, R-Truth, and The Miz. A real-life game of The Floor is Lava, that hit Netflix series, took place in this match. You seen the Floor is Lava on Netflix?
I've seen the trailers and stuff for it, but is it any good? Have you watched it?
It is a right hoot, let me tell you this. And that's because people actually die. So they're in this room, which has basically got a swimming pool of actual real lava in it, right? And they've got all these obstacles. I don't know how they get the obstacles in the lava and how the obstacles survive in the lava, but it's real lava in there. And they've got to obviously make your way around the obstacle course without falling in the lava. But when people fall in the lava, Andrew, you see them just sink.
That's a bit scary.
And I never heard from again. They actually die.
They actually... What,
I need to get a new microphone. This is pissing me off now. This. Every single time I use it and knock it off, it's just teetering here. I need to find a better stand for it. But yeah, people die. That's like...
sad.
Yeah, just like Chris Jericho did in this matchup.
Oh, dearie me. Just... Yeah. That was like...
The thing I'm referencing here, Andrew, is Jericho getting knocked out the chamber and not being able to get back in because of the lava on the floor.
Just a bit. Why can't he come back in? What's he not allowed back in for? Like, it's just a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was built up towards that guy's WrestleMania, of course, where Punk took on Jericho in that very personal feud where Jericho was calling Punk's father an alcoholic and all kinds of stuff, whapping out the Jack Daniels and slipping arse over tea kettle, which was a fantastic moment.
It was fine. I think that storyline's been done better before. With like, was it? I think it was in Ring of Honor with Punk and Raven and stuff like that. Like that seems to be a thing that they try to call back to, is Punk's straight edgeness and the fact that his dad wasn't and was an alcoholic and whatnot. And it's fine to a certain extent, but then I don't think it was done as well as what had been done previously with that storyline. Yeah, I thought it was all right.
I thought it was all right as well. Obviously, it was, again, the way that Jericho couldn't get back in, it made CM Punk look a bit lucky, didn't it? Instead of being an all-conquering champ, he just looked a bit like, oh, Jericho couldn't get back in. What could have been? Maybe Jericho could have beaten him. But the aftermath of this match was, of course, WrestleMania 28 in Miami. Ooh, palm trees and all that stuff. He would retain the title, of course, did CM Punk. Then he would retain the title some more, retain the title some more, retain the title a bit more, and then a little bit more on top of that until he reached 334 days when he would drop it to that young up-and-comer, that whippersnapper, that young man known as The Rock.
Yay! Fantastic stuff. Like, this just felt like a little... Not even a stop in the... It just continued his reign, didn't it, really? There was nothing sort of to this match that kind of... that led on to other things, really. It was just a thing that went on. And then that feud between him and Jericho was fine. I think they had a Chicago street fight, and it was... Yeah, it was all right.
What do you reckon for this one? All right?
I'd say all right, yeah. I'm saying all right a lot in this one, so yes, I think all right.
Not in terms of the table. We've actually got 4 in each in the top 3 tiers at the moment.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we've got... and then 2 in Bearable, which is still unbelievable to me, but there we go. The other match in 2012 saw the champion, the World Heavyweight Champion, Daniel Bryan, take on Big Show, Cody Rhodes, Santino Marella, the Great Khali, and Wade Barrett. As for the match itself... It was, it might just be me and my outlook and my perspective on Santino Marella, but the final 2 were Daniel Bryan and Santino. And I know the Rumble, the 2011 Rumble, it worked. It was special. You're thinking, whoa, could we get a proper shock win from Santino in the Rumble match against Bertie Del Rio? But in a match like this, you never actually thought, I didn't anyway, that Santino was going to win. So it was a bit of a damp squib.
It was, but then, like, at the same time, they really made you think, oh, actually, maybe he's going to do it. He's getting Cobra up. Ross is doing all this and getting him out and that. And I think that was such a really good last stretch between those two. And I think Santino did a great job in making us all think that it was gonna happen. But then, it makes Daniel look like a bit more of a bum. Like he was in that period of time. And then, obviously, what happens then? He goes on to face Sheamus, right? And
Yeah, I was
then
going to say,
Sheamus
just in terms of the chamber match itself, the only other sort of notable thing that happened was Big Show getting into Bryan's pod and squashed up against the glass like a...
Yeah.
I know he's a heel and whatnot, but sometimes you need to look a bit like less of an idiot than being squashed up against glass.
That was weird as well because Bryan was just about to come out at pod, I think, anyway. Like his timer
like
was
that,
going down and it was about to come out. So it looked a bit silly, really.
So as for the match itself, it was quite low down. It was nice to see Bryan retain, of course. But the aftermath, as you say, was WrestleMania 28. That boot from Sheamus after that kiss from AJ Lee. Crucially, not the other way around. Imagine that. Kiss from Sheamus, boot from AJ Lee. Amazing scenes. And that spawned the Yes Movement. They didn't know it at the time, of course, but it spawned the Yes Movement and the journey to WrestleMania 30. So this is a weird one to sort of put in because Bryan winning got him to WrestleMania. The way he won wasn't very compelling, I didn't think, but it got him to WrestleMania and it spawned, by accident, arguably like the biggest star of the decade.
And we got the feud between him and CM Punk as well, which was really good. Like those matches were phenomenal. Let's forget Kane sometimes got in the mix there. That's not a thing that that happened. That happened. But yeah, I think this is above all right. Which one's that one? Is that
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Is that lovely, lovely, lovely? That one.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because the Yes Movement wasn't planned, I don't think, personally. That just happened because you couldn't ignore it.
Yeah.
And it forced the hand. Should we go top of all right? We'll go top of all right.
Yeah, top of all right.
It did get him to WrestleMania. We'll go top of it. They didn't mean it for it to happen like that. We'll go top of all right.
Yeah.
Jack Swagger is the next winner. Elimination Chamber 2013, a World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 29 is on the line. Chris Jericho, Daniel Bryan, Kane, Mark Henry, and Randy Orton are the other superstars in this match. And I tell you what, looking at those names there, Andrew, I don't know about you, but this was better than I thought it was going to be.
I tell you what, Mark Henry in this match, monster.
Steamrolling everything.
Monster. Might have been one of the best, if not the best part about this chamber, I think. Just, like you said, just steamrolling everyone. And just looking, this was like his Hall of Pain, like, shtick as well, wasn't it?
Shtick.
A shtick.
It's a shame the way he got eliminated, though, I thought. Just one RKO and he was gone. I thought we needed a bit more than that from Randall Keith.
Well, especially after like he was dominating in this match as well, was Mark Henry. And then, swift, RKO, and that's it. Come on, give him a bit more.
And I guess the shock of Swagger rolling up Orton to get Orton out of there was maybe trying to get Swagger as a proper bona fide main eventer. Finally, obviously 3 and a bit years after he won just less than 3 years, after he won the title initially. An all right chamber match, all things considered. As I say, better than you would expect. I don't think it's one of the best chamber matches of all time by any stretch of the imagination. The aftermath, Jack Swagger goes on a tear. I've got some matches written down here where he won. He beats Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, The Miz. He loses to Jim Duggan via DQ, but forget about that because he beats Chris Jericho. He beats the Great Khali. You're thinking, wow. 2010 was a mistake. We're finally going to make Jack Swagger a proper bona fide main eventer. Jack did get his World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania 29, and he lost to Bertie Del Rio.
And then that was kind of it for him, right? He formed Real Americans after this. Had a bit of a bad gimmick there, I thought, but I guess the stuff with Cesaro was good. Although Cesaro was, I think, the best bit about the Real Americans, but
it's just looking at what happened on the Raw after WrestleMania 29, of course, just showed that maybe the machine, so to speak, it was... Who's there? I
don't know. There's someone hoovering upstairs, making lots of noise.
They're terribly built, these buildings, aren't they?
They are.
You can hear everything from the floor above. It's terrible.
Sorry,
anyway, the way that Ziggler cashed in on Del Rio the night after maybe showed that Jack Swagger was never really getting a proper main event push that he probably should have got coming out after such like a big shock roll-up win over Randall Keith Orton. So, all right, chamber match, all things considered. The aftermath... Well, I mean, it spawned one of the greatest cash-ins of all time with Dolph Ziggler, but Swagger wasn't involved in that, so...
Yeah, so maybe, I guess, all right then?
Yeah, we'll go all right. We'll put in all right. Yeah, we'll go all right. And then next up, Andrew, we have Randall Keith Orton walking in as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Are you okay there? You're looking a bit worried.
No, me? Why? Worried about what?
You're looking worried off the camera there. Are you
no,
okay?
I'm just looking at my notes, that's all.
No problem. I thought you were having technical issues or something there.
No.
The look of dread on your face there. But Randall Keith obviously walked into Elimination Chamber 2014 as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, 2-belt Randy, as we all know. He was defending against Cesaro, Christian, Daniel Bryan, John Cena, and Sheamus. A star-studded cast.
Oh, I like this one a lot. Obviously, we get the bit at the end, which is phenomenal. And yeah, just everybody thinking. I don't like the shenanigans in this match. That's what I will say. I don't like the shenanigans of Bray Wyatt just turning up with Wyatt family out of nowhere.
Teleportation and all that.
Yeah, all the teleportation. Saying that, there's me in the pictures video going, I want spooky shenanigans in Elimination Chamber. And then also just like corporate Kane getting involved and stuff was bit weird. Just wasn't really for me. But the ending was fantastic, and again, sort of like Triple H getting people over in the earlier ones. It's felt like Randy Orton winning this only got more heat for Randy, and then just put so much stock behind Bryan that it was impossible for it to eventually explode, which it did, obviously, at WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, because the story went, didn't it, famously, that the main event of WrestleMania 30 that Vince McMahon wanted was Randall Keith versus Batista for the title in 2014. So maybe this was the tipping point. Maybe this was the pay-per-view where Vince McMahon thought, well, I just can't ignore this now. Let's make some money off the back of this very organic story. And that's always the best, isn't it, when it's organic in the professional wrestling. And, of course, this is all about the authority as well, with the corporate champion, Randy Orton, not wanting to get out of his pod, so Sheamus booted the glass out.
Yeah, I like that as well. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I always... well, you get, like, pod bits every now and then, but someone just going like, you know what, pal? People try and get in the top and stuff and all that, or try and open the door. Sheamus is just like, straight through that window, lad. I'm coming for thee.
Just like that as well. An okay match, all things considered. Very story-driven rather than just like death-defying action, all that stuff that we normally see in a chamber match. And then, of course, it led to Bryan being World Heavyweight Champion. So just because of that latter part...
It's got to go up.
Orton winning has got to go up there, surely.
I think so. But and just
lovely.
Sparking one of the best things. Yeah, lovely. Get it in there.
Lovely. Orton winning was a good thing in the big picture. It
was, in the bigger picture.
So now we go on to 2015, Andrew, and we have the tag team Elimination Chamber match where we have the champions, which were allowed all three members of the New Day in there because they made a deal with the Authority or something like that. So Big E, Kofi, and Woods defeating Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, Los Matadores, The Ascension, Lucha House Dragons, and the Primetime Players. Millions of dollars. They were popular back in the day, I tell you.
They were.
A horrible chamber match where everybody forgot the rules in an elimination chamber match. Elimination being the key word there. People were breaking up pinfalls. Yeah,
it was odd. Just not a good match. I mean, there was some like decent spots and stuff from Lucha Dragons. Did some all right stuff, and I'm trying to think the blooming Los Matadores chucking El Torito about and stuff. Like that was kind of cool. Are you all right, Ross?
Sorry,
I'm not boring you, am I? No. Sorry. But other than that, yeah, it was just not good. And I think as well, at this point, New Day weren't really established in their heel role, and people weren't really taking them seriously. Didn't really like them, and there was like no fanfare behind them and stuff like that. So it just felt a bit like, what? This was another one that was just meh for me, really.
Yeah, so this pay-per-view took place in the May, and a couple of months later, obviously, at SummerSlam. This is where New Day were fully on, because my favourite incarnation of the New Day is 2015 heel New Day. It doesn't get better than that for me in terms of New Day. Do you agree or do you disagree?
I agree, because it's just like their obliviousness, right? They're just like, oh, what? No, we're not heels or anything. We're not. Why are you saying that we're these bad people?
Yeah.
But and I like that so much. Them just being oblivious and being super daft with their personalities and stuff. I always thought that was so good.
Yeah, the stuff with Seth Rollins as well was always a highlight. And then obviously, just because the fact they were so entertaining, they had to turn them babyface just because they were getting positive reactions anyway, because they were just that good in their heel roles. So yeah, we're building up to SummerSlam 2015, where they won the titles back from the Primetime Players because the Primetime Players took them at Money in the Bank, I do believe, and that's Maybe my favourite tag team win of the 2010s was New Day at SummerSlam 2015. It's a topic of discussion that everybody has, their favourite tag team win of a particular decade. What was your favourite tag team win of the 2010s, Andrew?
My favourite tag team win of the...
a tag team title win, I should say.
Do you know what? Probably that one. I think I would say that one. Just because like that is when everybody was starting to get behind New Day. And then they kind of just went on the up and up from there. You know? So I go with that one as well.
So the match initially, I think this is worse than ECW's December to Dismember because it didn't have that test moment. That test elbow drop. It didn't have that big moment for me that was on that level of a test elbow drop off the top of the pod. And then the aftermath, it was a bit like... And we've got to say, this is tag team wrestling in WWE in the modern day as a whole. Afterthought in it, so there's not really that investment there. So, yes, New Day dropping the tag titles to get them back eventually from primetime players. That was a fun moment, but like...
Yeah, I think, I'd go below then. Below ECW, which is mental to think. There's just nothing to it. No. It just felt like they didn't know what they wanted to do, most of them. And
that's just symptomatic of tag team wrestling, as we say, because it should be a lot. There should be a lot more stock in tag team wrestling in WWE as a whole, because we know how great tag team matches can be. But they just don't do it, whether it be the men's, Raw, SmackDown, or the women's as well.
And they've got so many good tag teams as well. That's the thing.
They're not breaking them up, though.
Yeah, that's true. And they're making new ones for some reason, for whatever reason. But
load of bollocks, I tell you. Load of bollocks, I tell you. Like a Yorkshireman now. Now we have also from 2015. So interestingly, on this pay-per-view, there was no World Title Chamber match. There was just the tag team and the Intercontinental Tag Team Championship Elimination Chamber match. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Where the vacant Intercontinental Championship was on the line, because this came after Daniel Bryan was forced to retire, unfortunately. Ryback came out on top when he was in there with Dolph Ziggler, King Barrett, Mark Henry, R-Truth, and Sheamus. And this match was famous for a botch. Mark Henry's pod door. It opened, and Mark Henry didn't know should I go against the script here and go out there? Should I just stay until my time is ready to happen? And he went out there eventually, bless him. But everything just went to crap after that. And all credit in the world to Dolph Ziggler, because you can hear it clearly if you listen very closely. He just takes control of that matchup. He's calling spots, but he's doing it in a very clever way, where he sort of makes a thing with some fellow heels in that match.
It makes a thing. An alliance?
An alliance. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you, Andrew. I'm going to wake up eventually. Let me tell you that. He makes an alliance with some other heels in the match. He's sort of calling spots by saying, "You get there and do that," making plans in the guise of this heel alliance. And it's very cleverly done.
It is. It saves 2015 from having two awful chamber matches. Like Ziggler's work in this saves this match.
It's still not one of the better chamber matches.
It's still not good, but I mean, it's not. But I mean, at least it saves it from being abysmal. You know, the winner, Ryback. Yeah.
I guess another big moment we have to mention from this match was Sheamus, who purposefully, it was clear to everyone watching who had working eyes at the time in 2015, he locked himself in his pod with his big cross thing. But what did you do there? But
Jesus Christ, Rob.
But the commentary team, they try and sell it as if Sheamus was stuck in his pod. Just telling a completely different story to the story that was actually happening.
And then he decides, naff it, I'll come out now, and just takes it out and then comes out again.
Absolute mess.
Weird. Yeah, it was. That wasn't good.
So Ryback obviously wins the match, and because it was, again, the Intercontinental Championship, much like the tag team titles at the time, and still to this day, very much an afterthought in WWE, which is a shame. Not like it was when we were growing up, was it? Ryback, he held the title for 112 days until he dropped it to heel 2015 KO at Night of Champions. Kevin Owens back then is way better than Kevin Owens of today. I don't care what you say. Even though he still is good today in the every man,
every man, yeah.
The average Joe.
Yes.
Who can do wrestling really well.
That's the one as well.
Yeah, he was much better in that role as a heel back in 2015. But as we say, it was just a weird time for the IC title, because it was just an afterthought, which was a shame.
Yeah, and then then Ryback was feuding with Miz and Big Show, and that's a triple threat everybody wants to see, right? I mean, some of the matches weren't too bad, but they weren't anything special. And like you said, it was just a secondary thought at that point. Like It didn't hold what it used, like the Intercontinental Championship didn't hold the sort of grandeur as it did when we were wee nippers ladder till they want, you know.
That was a long time ago, wasn't it? Right then, so Ryback winning not one of the best chamber matches of all time and going on to have not a memorable title reign. Not good signs for this tier ranking thing, is it?
Would you say bearable? Or
I'd say bearable.
Yeah.
2017 we go on to now. 2016 got a year off because of course it did after the utter bollocks that was 2015. Rightfully so, good call WWE. New chamber debuts of course in 2017 with the glass up high for the extra camera angles and then the padding along the steel grate.
The steel grate.
Official term? The steel grate. So we can do more impressive moves and not kill ourselves. It was a good thing. Because annoying thing, I saw someone on my Facebook feed actually post to another wrestling thing saying that it's now called the Elimination Playpen, not the Elimination Chamber, because they've got padding so the wrestlers don't actually hurt themselves. And I think that's a terrible outlook to have on this thing. They're human beings as well, god damn it.
Well, that's it. I think even in this match, I can't remember if it's JBL saying stuff like, "Oh yeah, it used to hurt before when you didn't have padding and stuff down."
When they were real men.
Yeah, with guns and knives.
So of course Bray Wyatt gets it's emotional for smarky people like us because Bray Wyatt finally getting the big one, but he wins a match where John Cena walked in as the champion. After that big match he had with AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble, of course. AJ Styles is in there too. Big baldy bastard Baron Corbin, Dean Ambrose, and The Miz. Ambrose eliminated early by Corbin, so Corbin gets pissed off and batters him. That was a role played very well by big baldy bastard Baron Corbin. Cena and AJ, too focused on each other, still trying to one up each other in the midst of their world title feud. That allows Bray Wyatt to sweep in there and take the big old bloody victory. And it was just, everyone had a role to play in this match, and they all played their role very well, I thought.
Yeah, really good storytelling and a really good match as well. I really enjoyed this one. And just to see Bray get the belt was nice. I think that was his first title, right? In WWE? You
have a tag team title reign, surely?
Oh, yeah, he will have done. But I guess singles title then.
Yeah.
And that being your first singles title is mental to
Big
even
one.
think about. That's
Big
so
one.
good. Big one.
Big one. So then the chamber match, obviously, it was good, as we've said there, but the aftermath, what could have been with Bray Wyatt's world title reign? Of course, we've got to WrestleMania 33, and Randy Orton. No, Bray Wyatt. Who had the hologram? I always forget this mixed up. Is it Bray who had the holograms or Randy who brought the hologram? Bray who brought the holograms.
No, Bray. Yeah.
But Randy's not scared of projectors, and it was just being projected onto a wrestling match, so that was fine. And of course, we had the House of Horrors as well, and it really brings it down, doesn't it? So I think if we had a good reign for Bray, microphone again.
Careful.
If we had a good reign for Bray, no doubt about it, would have been in the best for me. But since we had a terrible reign for Bray, got to bring it down to lovely, maybe even all right. What you saying?
Yeah, I'd probably say all right. It's just another.
Top of all right?
It's just another It's another example of WWE just not knowing what to do with Bray when he gets something, or where to go with him. Because every time they give him a belt or something, because he's always positioned as this supernatural, nothing can stop him kind of person. And then when you give him a belt, someone's eventually got to stop him, and then that just makes him look weak. And then he goes away and then comes back better, and then something happens and then he has to go away again. It's such a shame because he deserves a lot as well, because his character work is phenomenal. He's really good in the ring as well. But yeah, it's just a shame. It's a big old shame, Ross.
A big old shame. Was he a tag team champion by that time? I'm trying to think here. Let me go on his Wikipedia where we get all of the answers. Do you want to sing a song or something just to fill the time?
What do you want me to sing?
The Okie Doke theme from start to finish, please.
Okay. If you have a problem and you need a helping hand, cross the dell and ring the bell, he'll understand. Get ready, 'cause here comes Okie Doke. The friendliest of folk is Mr. Okie Doke. And then it key changes,
Keep
but
going.
I can't remember the lyrics. Get ready, Mr. Okie Doke. He's doing all this with his hands, Ross. It's
Yeah,
like,
keep going, because I went on the wrong
it's
Wikipedia
finished.
page.
Oh,
Keep
it's
going.
finished.
Just sing something else.
I'm back and better than ever. I got a neck. Whoa.
Right, I've had it confirmed.
He's done it. Thank God.
The SmackDown Tag Team title reign he had with Luke Harper and Randy Orton, as well as the sort of trios that took place when it started in December of 2016. So that was indeed his second title in WWE. We got there in the end. Don't worry about everybody.
We did.
We can't have people saying, no, that's wrong in the comments, can
wrong.
we?
That's naughty.
2018, we go on to Andrew now in the first ever Women's Elimination Chamber match. Alexa Bliss walks in as Raw Women's Champion and she defends against Bayley. Andy Rose, Mickie James, Sasha Banks, and Sonya Deville. Fire and desire, they do some things together, but it didn't last all too long. And then it was all about Sasha Banks and Bayley working together until the very end, well, just before the very end, before Sasha kicked Bayley off the pod. That bitch.
Shenanigans, Ross. Shenanigans. After they were teaming a little bit as well in there. Off you go.
But despite the fact this is around the period, the year before, I should say, back in 2017, we're seeing Braun Strowman try to actually murder Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw. Sasha kicking Bayley off the pod was enough for Kurt Angle to not just send him off on a feud like any normal general manager would. That was too far for Kurt Angle, so he sent Bayley and Sasha Banks to therapy because they are the women, and Braun and Roman killing each other isn't as severe as one kick off the pod or something like that. Absolute mess that was back in the day. But Mickie James as well. Another impressive moment in the match was jumping off the pod. Alexa Bliss entered with Sasha and Bayley left, of course. But then Sasha, she couldn't wait to get rid of Alexa Bliss and then have a good old honourable scrap with Bayley. She did that too soon, so Alexa Bliss took advantage of that and she kept her title.
Yeah. I thought this was good. I quite liked this match. I didn't think it was a bad match at all. Obviously, it being it's the inaugural Elimination Chamber for the women as well, isn't it? I thought they did a really good job. I like the teams, the separate individuals teaming up in their little tag teams to sort of overcome people and stuff. I thought that was really good. And then the turns and everything as well, I thought that was really good. And then keeping the title on Bliss, I thought it was good too, because I don't think she'd really done much in terms of defending the title beforehand. And this was just another she kind of just sort of found a way to win rather than having to put everything into it to retain a title.
I think she's done maybe not with this Raw title reign itself, but she's done a lot with lots of different titles by this point in 2018. Yeah, she was established, wasn't she, back in the day? It's weird to see how things have gone here in 2021, isn't it, with Alexa Bliss? But I guess that's what you need to do when you've got a long career, because it's hard to think. She got put on the main roster in 2016, I think it was.
Wow.
That's going on for 5 years now.
That's even watching these back, 2018. I still got to refresh my memory because I'm I can't even remember that happening, and that wasn't even that long ago. Stuff happens so fast.
It all blurs into one for me, Andrew.
It does.
It's terrible, but it's the thing, because you think about massive names like Mr. Perfect back in the day. I'm sure that his tenure in WWE wasn't as long as Alexa Bliss's and stuff like that. The superstars of today stick around for a lot longer than they used to back in the day, and it's a weird thing to wrap your head around. But the aftermath for Alexa Bliss was WrestleMania 34, where Alexa as the heel was taking on Nia as the babyface, and I was fully behind Nia there, and Nia got a big victory against that no good bullying bitch.
Oh, I liked this. I thought this was really good. I know it got a lot of backlash from people and stuff about the storyline and whatnot, but I think it was perfect in that Alexa built so much heat, and then we get the feel-good moment of Nia Jax finally overcoming her bullies, the nasty bully, and I just thought it was really good. I thought, and I thought the way that it built up from Elimination Chamber was done really well too. Yeah,
with obviously Alexa cutting that promo. It would have been to Mickie James, wasn't it, backstage, and then Nia somehow heard her slandering her good name and the way she looked and all that stuff, and it was a nice story as well. But this would build to June, when Nia would lose the title to Alexa Bliss, who cashed in her Money in the Bank. So obviously, bullies always prosper, don't they? But then, of course, that would go on to Alexa Bliss losing the Raw Women's Championship to Ronda Rousey in a win that got us a victory over the Wrestle Twats. So, good.
Yes. Right, go straight in best then, eh?
Straight in the best now. It was, I'd say it was, Not one of the better Elimination Chamber matches of all time. It was a good, solid match. A few things went wrong, but I think that's to be expected. I mean, the first ever men's match had a lot of stuff that went wrong as well, so to be expected. And in the aftermath, told a solid, sort of realistic story, in my opinion. So,
yeah, no, I agree. I
Lovely?
thought it was
All
good.
right.
Yeah, put it in lovely. I think lovely's a good shout.
above 2017, the men's.
Oh,
We'll put the 2017 in that bracket as well, so they're both the same
go on.
one. There you go. That's how these tiers work, Andrew. You just
On the
mix
fly.
and match as you go along, yeah. 2018, the other match, the men's match for a Universal Championship match at WrestleMania 34, was obviously going to be won by Roman Reigns at that point in time. But also in that match was Braun Strowman, Elias, Finn Balor, John Cena, Seth Rollins, and The Miz. You might be thinking, Ross, your maths is a bit off there, is it not? But it's not, though, because was it Rollins and Balor had a qualifying triple threat match where they both pinned somebody, I forget who it was, at the same time. So instead of just having a singles match to put one person in there, they just threw them both in there at the same time. So we started off with a triple threat match. At the beginning, I think it was, but this was all about Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman at this time was on fire. I used to call him the meme-a-mom men back in those days because it used to feel like every single week you'd turn on Monday Night Raw and he was doing some sort of memeable moment.
I liked
Tipping
him
over
back
ambulances.
then.
He was great back then. Just watching him do big, silly stuff. It was always fantastic viewing, especially at that point in time against the Smark's worst enemy, Roman Reigns. Who at
Romulus
that time was
Reigns.
still getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed as this 3-year journey from WrestleMania 31 in the main event where Roman originally, I guess, was supposed to beat Brock Lesnar all the way through until what event was it? SummerSlam 2018 is when he finally got that big pay-per-view victory over Brock Lesnar. We were still on that road at this point, so Braun Strowman was never going to prosper at this period of time, despite, no matter how impressive he was.
Yeah, it's such an eye-rolling moment as well because you've got so many good wrestlers in that match that they could have done anything else. They could have done anything else with this, but then they decided to stick with Roman, and then we went on to WrestleMania 34 with that wonderful match that Brock and Roman had together. That the crowd, they loved it. They loved it so much.
It's weird how WWE works sometimes because Braun Strowman 2017 and early 2018 was on fire. And if there's any time to make him a world champion, it was then. Not waiting a couple of more years and then making him a world champion sort of by mistake with circumstances with Roman Reigns, obviously, this time last year with the pandemic and all of that and Braun taking his place and beating Goldberg. It's weird how they held off on that and then waited until Braun Strowman was really cold to make him a world champion.
And he looked really good in this match as well.
Yeah.
He looked really good, just like destroying everybody and stuff. So it did feel strange for them not to just go have the belt. Go on your push. You have that. Nobody's behind Reigns at the moment. Why do we keep trying to shove him down people's throats? Just give it to someone else. Kind of like the Daniel Bryan thing, right? Like, why didn't they listen and go, oh, actually, let's put this guy in there instead? Because it pays off.
It's weird to speak about Reigns. Like, if you forget about how long that was, where Reigns was getting pushed no matter what and suffering succotash and from there on onwards and all that stuff. Because now he's just absolutely amazing promos and storyline and wrestling. And I said wrestling action there. Wrestling action.
Action.
Excuse me, that he does inside the wrestling ring. It's weird how far he's come. He's just amazing now these days, isn't he? But the aftermath of this chamber match was obviously Roman Reigns losing at WrestleMania 34 amid all of those rumors about Brock Lesnar leaving WWE to go back to UFC and all that stuff. Despite all of that, Brock won once again, and Roman got very bloody while doing so. We went to Saudi Arabia and Roman lost that cage match to Brock Lesnar. But eventually, as I said earlier, at SummerSlam 2018, you would get one over Lesnar 3 years after, 3 and a bit years after he was originally supposed to do it, I guess, before Rollins obviously added and then cashed in. And the greatest heist of the century. All that stuff. But this one's got to go low down for all things considered, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah, without a doubt. That's with ECW, right?
That's with ECW, and a couple more. 2015 Intercontinental,
Yeah,
Let's get in there.
think,
Sorry, Braun. Sorry, Braun.
Yeah, sorry, Braun. It's not your fault, though, Braun. Big Vinnie Mac. Get him told. or telt.
Get him telt.
You say telt, don't you, up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you.
Yeah.
Bayley and Sasha Banks now, Elimination Chamber 2019, Women's Tag Team Championships. Obviously, on the line here, Carmella and Naomi were a tag team that were involved in that match. Fire and Desire. Nia Jax and Tamina, that was the time. I tell you, the Tamina train should have pulled out the station back then. It was the time. The Iconics were in there, the Riot Squad as well. Yes, the Iconics were funny. Tamina did a Superfly splash on the Riot Squad as a collective. Everyone saw that Nia Jax and Tamina were the main threat in that match, so they went and ganged up on them, I should say. Bullied up on them. I'm falling asleep here, Andrew. I'm losing steam. Nia runs into a pod where she sort of not doesn't run towards the pod, but then changes direction so she can't hit the pod, which was a fantastic moment. All things considered, though, this was a far more improved match than the year before for the women, I thought.
Yeah, I completely agree. Everything just seemed to be sort of in place for this one. Everyone seemed to, I guess, obviously with that first match, quite a few of the people from that one are in this one, so they know a bit more, like maybe how to do spots a little bit better, what to do and what not. And I thought it just gelled well. I thought they all just gelled well. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, good match for me. Good match for me. Good match for me. Coming after it though, as has been the story with maybe Sasha Banks and Bayley's second reign aside. It's always just been, nobody's ever been given a fair crack at the whip, have they? If you look at the Iconics and their reign, Bayley and Sasha here, they lost the titles, of course, at WrestleMania 35 to the Iconics. You look at the Kabuki Warriors, you look at Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, you look at maybe Nia and Shayna, but that's a tag team where, how could these opposing figures get along, possibly? Apart from Bayley and Sasha's second reign, it's never really been allowed to flourish like it should maybe have.
Yeah, and such emphasis, especially putting it in an Elimination Chamber match for the winners of that to win the belts felt like a big deal. And then the whole speech afterwards with Sasha and Bayley was so emotional and so nice. And like it made it feel like these titles were going to be a big deal. And then literally straight after, that was pretty much it. Maybe the Kabuki Warriors, did put a bit more stock back into them, but then nothing has really come from it, and they do just feel like a tool to start singles feuds these days, don't they?
It's the same every time, isn't it? We're seeing it now with obviously Asuka and Charlotte as well, but it's a weird one because it was a good match, but what came after for the first reign we're speaking about here, obviously the second reign, obviously this time, last summer we should say that was a good reign.
That was
where they were allowed to flourish, obviously, and have large portions of weekly shows on SmackDown. But this one, good match. Is it all right or is it unbearable? A good match weighed down by the aftermath for the winners.
Yeah, because then then Sasha had all the stuff where she had a hiatus and stuff for 4 months, didn't she, as well? Maybe that one's hard, Ross, because I don't want to take anything away from the match. That's the thing.
Well, we've got to in this tier ranking. It's about the winners, isn't it, and what they did?
That's true. Yeah, then put it in all right, I guess.
Put it in all right.
Yeah.
There we go. Not our fault. We don't book the wrestling shows.
No.
Then we have the other chamber match from 2019, which was for the WWE Championship at the time. A heel, no good bastard, Daniel Bryan walked in as champion. He walked out as champion, of course, against originally AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, and Ali. Didn't have a Mustafa at the time, I don't think.
No, did he not?
I don't think so. He got made Ali for a while, didn't he? Or
yes,
he did have
yeah.
a Mustafa. I might be mistaken. But obviously, just a week or two before, I think Mustafa Ali was having a match with Randy Orton, and he got injured, so he got taken out there, and who got put in there? It was Kofi Kingston. So the aftermath, we all know how great it was, no matter how devastating that loss to Brock Lesnar was on the first episode of SmackDown on Fox. Yeah. That was, it still pains me to this day. But Kofi Mania was so... And maybe the title reign, how he was facing off against Ziggler initially, maybe that was... Maybe not as good as it could have been. But the Kofi Mania moment itself at WrestleMania, obviously, the importance and significance of that, Xavier Woods in tears and all that stuff, it was just fantastic stuff. But the match itself, Kofi was just great in this match. I remember the one spot in particular where he rose up into that camera angle they have in the top corner of the pods.
Oh,
amazing
so
camera
good.
work. And just, it was a good old-fashioned throwback, this match, because we had the good guy, Kofi Kingston, with the crowd behind him, the bad guy, Daniel Bryan, with the crowd booing him. It was literally good guy versus bad guy, and a compelling story was told.
It was like Orton and Bryan again, right? Like everyone just builds the stock behind Kofi, and it makes him feel like an actual contender for the WWE title. And like you were saying, it's a shame that he didn't sort of get the reign that he really deserved. But this was so good. The build up from this as well, where like they keep throwing everything at Kofi
the
to try and
match
stop him. Yeah, to try and stop him from getting that match at WrestleMania as well, and then building up to that eventually, and then him getting the win. Like that all pretty much came from the Kofi Mania stuff here at Elimination Chamber, I think, and for that alone, that's it's a goodie. It's a goodie.
Top tier.
Yes, without a doubt.
I love this match, mate. Another highlight as well was Jeff Hardy doing a swanton bomb off the top of the pod to AJ Styles, who was draped on the top turnbuckle. Whoa.
He was doing some mad stuff. Big old Jeff back then doing some mad stuff. Him and Shinsuke as well. Do you remember? I think he does. I can't remember what pay-per-view it was, but he tries and does like a swanton on the apron to Shinsuke, and it's like, naughty.
Was it last year when he did that swanton bomb as well to Elias on the floor, and he catches his head on the stairs?
Oh my God, yeah.
Around that time of the Chamber, we had the stuff with Orton as well. I think that was Hell in a Cell 2018, was it, or 2019? I can't remember. It all blurs into one.
They do. Like you watch so many, and all you can see, Ross, is pods and glass and chains.
It's amazing, isn't it? But now we go on to 2020 and a tag team elimination chamber match. The Miz and Morrison walk in as SmackDown tag team champions, and they take on the tandem that wasn't known as the Dirty Dogs back then, but it is the Dirty Dogs. It's Ziggler and Rude. I love that tag team name. Heavy Machinery, Lucha House Party, who were drunk when they walked into this match, the way they performed. That's a bit harsh, isn't it? But they did do a few whoopsies, we'll say that. New Day, which was Big E and Kofi that time, and the Usos. Usos and New Day start off this matchup, and obviously they've got a ton of history, 2 tons of history behind them. They're both baby faces, I think, at this time, but they can't keep their hands off each other because they've got all that story behind them, so they just go at it. Go at it.
Yeah, no, this what a good 2 teams to start out. Like, just really, really good. We had so many good matches between like Uso and the New Day before, and to have them in an Elimination Chamber match as well with the added environment is just good. It's a good recipe, Ross.
Yeah, I don't know if Michael Nakazawa from AEW. What the hell was that?
That was tasty. That was. I don't know
if Michael Nakazawa from AEW had been in this Elimination Chamber before this match had taken place, but that old slippy rope thing that AEW do because of Michael Nakazawa, that was happening in this match as well, because the ropes were causing all kinds of havoc for the Lucha House Party, especially. That's why I was saying they were drunk, because they were doing some things and it was quite funny.
Yeah, it was. They didn't have the best showing, did they, in this one?
That being said, though, Lindsay did do some very impressive things. He did the old swinging shooting star press off the ceiling.
That was cool.
The mad cat.
He must have had to be drunk to do that, Ross.
The mad catter.
The mad catter. Yes.
Otis as well was catching Dolph Ziggler falling from the sky. Tucky. Poor Tucky. I swear to God, if there was crowds in the arena when he turned on Otis, he would not be in this predicament that he's in now.
Nope.
No, would at least have had a few between Otis and Tucky by now. But Tucky was doing flips, swanton bombs off the top of pods. Fantastic stuff.
Better than Jeff, almost. If not better than Jeff.
I'm going to sneeze, Andrew. Elephant.
Get it out.
Elephant.
Celery?
It works all the time, doesn't it? You just say elephant, it goes away. It's incredible how that works every time.
I thought it was celery or something like that.
I say elephant, me. Kayla told me elephant, so Kayla, yeah, elephant works for me.
I'll go for elephant.
Each to your own. If you're a celery guy, a celery gal, that's up to you. But this is an impressive match despite the slippy ropes. I thought it was a great match. And then the aftermath, of course, the WrestleMania weirdness with the old pandemic and all that malarkey. We had Joe Mo retaining the SmackDown Tag Team titles in a triple threat singles ladder match.
Phenomenal match. One of the best matches of that weekend as well. Definitely. Everything about this win, like John Morrison and Miz have continued just the heelish bar stewardy, just being the best at getting under people's skin, and always being in a title picture as well, from like the tag titles, and then Miz getting the Money in the Bank off Otis and stuff, and then they've always just remained relevant from this match, I think, up to now, obviously,
and the music videos as well.
Oh my God!
2 hits
so good.
They have 2 hits. I'm not having anyone say anything otherwise than 2 hits from Miz and Morrison. So this one, does it? It's tag team wrestling in WWE, so we can't look at the aftermath with too much credence in this situation here. But lovely, or is it all right?
I think I think because of the stuff they've continued to do, and because even though it wasn't a tag match, it was a triple threat ladder match, but because of that as well, I put that in lovely, but because it was a good match too.
Again, it's not our fault that Vince McMahon has no faith, no stock in tag team wrestling. For whatever reason that is, I do not know. But now we move on to a women's elimination chamber match. Shayna Baszler walks in. Shayna Baszler quite literally eats everybody, and Shayna Baszler goes home with a very full belly.
Ross, this makes me sad.
It does make you sad. We'll go through the people who were in there as well. Asuka was in there, Liv Morgan was in there, Natalya was in there, Ruby Riott was in there, and Sarah Logan was in there. The winner got a Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania 36. We might as well speak about the aftermath now. It was looking so good for Shayna Baszler after that NXT Women's Championship reign that she had that was ended by Rhea Ripley. She then goes to the main roster. She turns into a vampire. She has this match here where you're thinking, wow, an NXT, what made them special in NXT is continuing, it's transferred over to the main roster. Because so many times we've seen that thing that made them special in NXT lost by the time they get to the main roster. But no, Vinnie Mac has been watching Shayna Baszler in NXT. She's keeping what made her special. She's going to dominate for a long period of time. But we go on to WrestleMania, and Becky rolls her up and wins.
Unreal. Just was not expecting it. Really, genuinely wasn't expecting it, because especially with her and Rhea as well, you were like, oh, we're getting what we wanted. We're getting some new stars are being built. Good things are happening for them, and rightly so as well, because they're both phenomenal wrestlers. But just for this to happen, and all the build up of Shayna looking unbelievably just beastly as well in this, just done. Like, completely stomped out. And then she's not really done much since, other than like the tag team stuff. But then she's not able to go full potential either. Like, it's genuinely really, really sad, just because Vince is like, yeah, I don't really like her.
I don't understand it, do you? Because the fact that she is so different is what should set her apart. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I know it's a very obvious thing to say, but she just does bring something different to the table in terms of women's wrestling in WWE today. But maybe this is the biggest sort of disconnect between the winner of the Chamber match and how that was done, and the aftermath of, after the Chamber match. And how far does that WrestleMania defeat bring down what was a fantastic performance from Shayna Baszler inside the Women's Chamber? Because she ate everybody, as I said.
Yeah.
She annihilated poor Liv Morgan by swinging her and banging her against the cage. And she was trapping Natalya in the door and just using the door on Natalya. It was just, she looked like an absolute killer, and it was great to see.
She did, and for that, I mean, if we're just thinking about the Elimination Chamber match alone, just amazing. Like, so amazing. And like you were saying, just continues her looking like a beast throughout this whole entire thing. And like, these kinds of matches seem right for Shayna Baszler as well.
Yeah.
Put her in some like structure and have her like just ragging people around and throwing them against stuff and using it to her advantage. Well,
that was the big difference, wasn't it, between NXT Shayna and main roster Shayna, is the fact they had to call her the cage fighter, Shayna Baszler, just in case you didn't get the reference with all the stuff that she does, that she used to do the MMA back in the day. So obviously Elimination Chamber being a cage,
yes,
that means the cage fighter should be at home in the cage. But I reckon, I'm going to say it to you now, Andrew, if she won at WrestleMania, this was in the best, no doubt about it. But I reckon the aftermath of Elimination Chamber brings it down to the top of lovely, lovely, lovely.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I hope so much that she gets another shot. I don't know if she will, and she might not, but deep down, they're wasting so much potential there if they don't.
As we're sat here today, Andrew, I've just done a news video with Jack this morning where one of the stories was Shayna's appeared on Renee's oral session. Renee Young, come on straight to hell, please. I really want to do it. It'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? I love Renee Young. Anyway, she's telling Renee Young that Vince McMahon apparently said to her, I want you to be a proper MMA lady, do all of the MMA stuff in the ring. She went out and had a match with Natalya. Apparently beat the piss out of Natalya, not legitimately, but in an MMA style, which Vince McMahon asked of her. And then she gets backstage, and Vince McMahon goes, nah, don't like that. Go out there and have a proper wrestling match. They have a wrestling match, redo the same match on the same show. And then Shayna comes backstage, and Vince says, oh, I like that.
What's up with him?
What's up with him, Rose? Weird, isn't it? Very weird. But there we have it. Shayna Baszler, Elimination Chamber 2020 is at the top of lovely, 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 just because of that WrestleMania defeat to Becky Lynch. Now we go on to this year's matches. Daniel Bryan, of course, walked in there against Cesaro, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, King Corbin, and Sami Zayn. I loved this match. Only
Great.
one bad thing was Cesaro not winning. But
Yeah.
you can't have everything, can you, in life?
You can't. That's the thing. Again, the only problem I think with this match is, and it's not really a problem because it does set up Roman being the biggest heel in the company, with the match being straight after. It feels inconsequential just because that person wins the match and then gets squashed straight after.
Yeah.
And then we get, obviously, the moment Edge comes out, spears Reigns, and then points at the WrestleMania sign. So that's the next thing. But I would have loved if Cesaro won this and then maybe got a shot at least at Fastlane. Make him look like he deserves to be in the title picture, because he does deserve to be in the title picture without a doubt.
Definitely. Cesaro, of course, looked great in this match. Up until he got eliminated, he was doing pull-ups on the top of the cage and everything. Just doing that one-legged swing he did on Daniel Bryan just before he got eliminated was brutal.
Unreal.
Brutal. How did his leg stayed attached to his body? I've got no idea. Fantastic scenes anyway. Big Corbin as well. Corbin came in there when Bryan and Cesaro were in there, two baby faces. Once again, the heel King Corbin, much like when he faces the Mysterios ever. The odds stacked against the heel. It's weird. It's weird how he always gets booked in that sort of scenario, but he looked impressive as well. Sammy was hilarious. KO was good as well, just stunning everybody. Jey Uso using the door of the cage on Kevin Owens.
That was
looked
good.
absolutely devastating. It was just everyone had their role in the match and everyone played their role very well indeed. And I really enjoyed it. And as you said earlier, the aftermath made things a bit inconsequential with the Universal title match happening straight after this chamber match here. And in terms of where Bryan goes from here, we don't know. So let's just base this one on Daniel Bryan winning. Was he the right guy to go up against Roman Reigns? You'd probably say no.
Because of the way, if the match wasn't straight after, perhaps, but because it was straight after, why not let Cesaro win? You know,
Because you would presume that the match would have the same formula where Daniel Bryan looked for a second that maybe he might do it, but then no, he's just got flattened.
Yeah.
So why not Cesaro for that? So in terms of a winner, because we don't have much aftermath to go off. The aftermath we do have, as you said, is inconsequential. Top of all right area. Because it was a good match.
Yeah, it was a really good match.
We're here to
That's
rank the winner.
Yeah, go on. All right. Put it in all right.
That's just because of our personal preference. Nothing really to do with WWE's booking.
No, it was a good match. Nobody think that because we put it there, it's a bad match, because it's not. But it's just the winner.
Exactly. And that's what we're here to tier rank, aren't we? I said tank there. I'm tanking right now. But finally, we have Drew McIntyre, of course, who went in there to defend his WWE Championship against AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, and Sheamus. He walks out there. The stuff happened with The Miz, obviously. Right winner, though, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Initially.
Part of me thought it was going to be Sheamus, to build up to a match between him and Drew at WrestleMania. But that was I say it was a surprise, because I feel like people were like, is he going to cash in or isn't he? I think the biggest surprise was how Miz actually won. Because I think people sort of thought if he was going to cash in, it might not be successful. I didn't think it was going to be successful. So that was a nice surprise. And for him to get, obviously, the win of Drew wins it, and then he gets the win over Drew, I thought that was really good. What happens now? I don't really know. I mean, Drew's obviously, I feel like Drew's got to get himself back in the
I think it's obvious what's going to happen to me. I think
him and Bobby at rest.
Yeah, it's next week on Raw is where Saturday. I think it'll be tomorrow night when this. If this goes out on the day, I think it's going out tomorrow night on Raw. Bobby Lashley's taking on The Miz for the title. I think shenanigans happens there. The rematch happens at Fastlane. Bobby wins the title at Fastlane. Bobby goes on to face Drew at WrestleMania, and Drew gets his win back in front of fans. I think that's where we're going with this one. A lovely, nice, wholesome story.
That is a nice, wholesome story. Just a shame about Lashley being sort of a transitional champion, though. There.
But then you can have a big feud over the summer, and who knows, maybe at SummerSlam, Bobby gets it back, something like that. Because Bobby Lashley, since he's been this new aggressive Bobby Lashley who doesn't say much and just kicks people's heads in, fantastic stuff. Love seeing it.
Yeah.
Ready for Bobby Lashley to be a world champion, finally, a proper world champion, I should say, in WWE, because ECW doesn't count, does it really?
It doesn't.
No.
And that's the thing, this feels like what he should have got in his initial run. Just a good, solid title run. And hopefully, like you said, at SummerSlam he does finally get what he genuinely really, really deserves. He really, really deserves a good shot at the belt.
But as for this chamber match itself, we had Kofi rolling up Randy, I think, which was a
Yes.
shocking moment, but a good moment as well. Styles, I love that moment where they made Omos look like a powerhouse just by ripping the door off, or the glass off, I should say. Styles seen his opportunity to try and eliminate somebody. Didn't work out, but I like the sort of tactical thinking and using his big, what was it called? His personal powerhouse, his personal, I don't know what they call him. They've got that silly nickname for him.
Big boy.
Personal big boy. Using that to his advantage. I thought, obviously, the final two would be Drew and Sheamus, but so it was a shock to see AJ Styles eliminate Sheamus like he did. But the way they did the final bits of that match was great as well, with the sort of shock Claymore kick eliminating Sheamus. I call it a shock, you know what I mean? A shock Claymore to get rid of Sheamus. And just another really solid chamber match. A night of solid chamber matches this year's pay-per-view was. But... and I can see why, if you're going to take the title off Drew, obviously they didn't have to do that. I can see why they used the cash in, because you don't want Drew getting beat by Bobby definitively, do you? You want shenanigans at play, don't you?
No, yeah. And like I said before, I guess it was possibly a good swerve, because I think a lot of us thought it was either going to be Drew or Sheamus.
Yeah.
And then this thing with the Miz happens, and I was like, oh, that's actually really good. But yeah, I think it was right that Drew won this one.
So, as a winner of the chamber match itself, I think Drew was the right call. Having Drew, especially when you've got Roman being a clever wrestler, not getting himself in a chamber match, and you're thinking, why is Drew not doing the same? Having him win the match, I think, was crucial. So, lovely, 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 at least, I reckon.
Yeah, because it still makes him look strong. It still makes him look strong, doesn't it? Yeah.
And it was not one of the best chamber matches of all time, but a really solid chamber match, all things considered. So there we have it.
Woo.
Let's try and find out now, if I can remember which picture represents which year, who is the best of the best. So we've got Shawn Michaels from 2002 is definitely there. Daniel Bryan from 2019 is definitely there. Triple H from 2009?
Yeah.
Was it? Is that the one that's in there? I've got no idea. He's won it that many times.
That might have been the New Year's Revolution one, right? With the storytelling with Evolution?
No, that's in Lovely, Lovely, Lovely.
Oh.
This one's a bit later on. Which year was it? Around 2009 time.
Yeah, No Way Out?
Was it 2009?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we'll just say that. And then we've got the Undertaker one, whichever one that was.
That was... Which one was that? That was... Was that No Way Out as well?
2008 No Way Out, I think that was. The one with the tombstone back over the ropes with Batista. Yes. Right then, so is Michaels 02 better than Edge when he cashes in? That one.
I think Edge is better.
Edge is better, so John Cena's win goes to the top. Undertaker, No Way Out 2008. Does that trump Edge and Cena in 2006? Sorry, not 5.
I don't think so.
It stays where it is. This random Triple H one, does that trump?
No, because I can't remember which one it is.
Let me try and find it. No, sing another song while I try and... Is it No Way Out 2008, maybe? No?
Yeah, I think... No.
Or is it must be 2009, with the one where Edge is first out?
Yes.
Yes, that makes more sense. So Triple H winning 2009 No Way Out.
I think Edge is still on top.
Yes, so do I. And then finally, Daniel Bryan, Kofi Mania, all that stuff.
Ooh. Just below Edge.
So there we have it. The best winner, in our opinion, in the history of Elimination Chamber was John Cena, who, if you put our rationale for the 2021 Universal title chamber, was inconsequential. Because it meant something else. That's the way we work here at Cultaholic. We make no sense whatsoever, but we do at the same time. Andrew, how have you found your first bit of Gary YouTubing?
It's been lovely. Thank you so much for having me. I've had a nice blast. It's been nice going through these, and it's been nice conversing with you about.
It's a slog, isn't it? We've been going for 1 hour 48 minutes on the recording at the time, as I'm looking at my timeline thing there. So there we go. Best ever chamber win was an inconsequential one. What a lovely... Anything you want to plug before we bugger off?
No, I guess Monday Fun Days on Twitch, everybody. I think most people know about them already if you come and watch them. So twitch.tv/Cultaholic, 6 o'clock on a Monday. Just there either making Lego or playing games or doing something daft. Sometimes flips. I said this before. Sometimes like doing flips and stuff on cushions. That's good. But other than that, I'm just there doing bits and pieces. And yeah.
Can you just say, if you hurt yourself while doing these stunts, that we, as Cultaholic Limited, are not liable?
You're very liable.
No, we're not
All
liable.
Of you. Yep.
Nobody's forcing you to do that stuff, Andrew.
It's for the views, Ross.
So peer pressure. So all of you at home are liable. That's where we're ending this tier rank. So thank you very much for joining us. I've been Gary YouTube. He's been Gary YouTube as well. An impressive debut in the Gary YouTube and stuff. We'll see you next time on these really long tier ranking malarkeys. Wave at the camera, Gary.
Bye.